About 4 years ago, I started DJing, and I was just cheap turntables and going to like record stores. When most people start out DJing because they don't really know what they're trying to DJ, you just end up collecting various different types of records. And my inspirations at the time were a lot of scratch DJs who would like often cut up records and mix two completely different tunes together and try and make something different. And that gave me like a nice safety net from collecting all these various records. I had to be a bit more creative with it. And then I really got into drum and bass just because like the way that the DJs were mixing and the technicality of it as well. And because my productions at the time, I invested in Final Scratch so I could sort of mix my own tunes into the ones that I was buying. And this at the same time helped me to learn how to construct a tune to be mixed within a DJ set. And doing this, I ended up just creating like loads of tunes just for myself that nobody had, just so I could play an original set, as well as creating like tracks of just bare bones, just tools, so that I could, I don't know, be a little bit more creative during my mixing. And I put the drum and bass behind now, I'm doing the electro thing, and 90% of my set is my own material, stuff that I probably won't ever release, but they've just been created to do a specific thing on the dance floor and get that impact that I really want. I'm really liking electro at the moment just because it's raw. It hasn't been tainted. I mean, it's happening, but it hasn't been completely tainted yet, and there's room for creativity. There's an open-mindedness for it, and there's a yearn for change. And if you can be a little bit different, it's appreciated and accepted. It's not, there isn't a prerequisite for it yet. It's not like it has to sound like this, it has to work in this particular manner. That if you do something completely different, people will be completely open to it and really absorb it and appreciate it. And that's why I'm there. I think with my productions, I've always been where I find the music production to be moving somewhere. Like as soon as it becomes a bit stagnant and it doesn't become as interesting, you have to keep moving on, because music and all art has to keep progressing. You can't get stuck. If rock did what I wanted it to do, I'd probably still be into it, but it didn't, so I had to get out of it. But I went through rock phases. I used to play in heavy metal bands. I guess that's what it's always done for me, like this aggression, you know, like being a lost child floating around the world and a lack of identity and a bit of like teenage angst. You kind of fall into that. And I guess, I don't know, while I'm young, I think it's good to have that little bit of aggression before you get too old and you can't do it. I got into jazz at one point, and it's actually the jazz that got me into the drum and bass. And through drum and bass, then I developed an appreciation for techno. But I put techno aside for a while and just completely went into drum and bass. It's one of the reasons why I moved to London, study music production and try and get into the drum and bass scene here. But then I found out, due to this little clique effect that London has, that it's really segregated and it's really hard to get into the scene here. If a word of advice, if you want to get into the drum and bass scene in the world, stay in your own country, make it big there, and then you get appreciation in London. Kid Dub is a result, I hate to say it, but as a result of luck, really. While I was doing my drum and bass productions on the side, I was trying to get back into doing live techno again. I had a gig in Madrid 4 years ago, and I prepared a little 40-minute live set to play out when I was there. And one of the tunes that I had in my live set I called the Micro Genius, which is the finishing track of that set. And it went down really well. It went down so well, we came back to London, turned it into a record and released it. Sold out. And later got picked up by a German record label named Mood Music, who were pretty well established. And they put it out last summer, 2006, which had really good reviews. And I don't know, it was the confidence that I got by people believing in something that I didn't have the confidence in at the time, which kind of led me to think that maybe I should pursue this. And that was kind of the time when I was finding the drum and bass scene to become a bit stagnant as well. So it was just, I just kind of really fell into it. There's a big gap, and I kind of got pushed into the hole and loved it. And I've fallen in, and I want to keep falling into it. It's great. I just love making music, and it doesn't just have to be electro or house or techno, anything really. And if I can find an outlet for my creativity and my passion, then I'll pursue it. And the project I have with Cozzy D, the D-Dub project, it's really awesome, because after making just big, loud, heavy, messy tunes, it's really good to have an outlet which is a little bit more relaxed and more melodic and progressive and epic, and just our productions are really like based on beautiful harmonies, and it's really good to please that sense as well. And it's been really good. The release on Berwick Street has been picked up really well. We're getting massive support. We got the Audiofly remix on it, and we're getting support from them as well, which is great, you know, like getting support from your peers. It's very humbling. Kanuba was my moniker for my drum and bass productions and my DJ name back then, and I was always into the more techie drum and bass. People like the Renegade Hardware crew, who I thought were like really constantly breaking boundaries in drum and bass. At the time, about 3 years ago, under the Kanuba moniker, I was trying to make some electro and techno drum and bass, which didn't sound like drum and bass, but sounded more like techno with a drum and bass beat, if that makes sense, which wasn't received very well here, I guess, just because London, they're set in their ways about what they want in the scene, you know, and I know their willingness for change, but that wasn't really accepted very well, which is why I kind of moved on. And Solaris is something I've been working on for like the last 2 years. Not releasing anything yet. I've just been giving out to friends to play, who play techno sets, and it's something I'm taking very seriously. And when the sound is ready and fully developed, I will then try my best to get it out there. But it's not something I'm willing to sell off so easily, just because of the work and the direction that I want to take it in. It deserves a proper education before being put out into the world to do what it needs to do. And the direction is still changing as well, because the scene, the techno scene, is changing. It's become slower, which is nice. It doesn't have to be aggressive, and it's full-on creativity at the moment. It's very inspired by guys like James Holden, Stefan Bodzin. I reckon are two of the most groundbreaking producers of today, just for the textures that they get in their sounds. Guys like Bodzin, the way he programs his beats, it's just mind-boggling. You know, I'd like to sit with him in the studio for a day and conk him on the head and nick it. But yeah, Holden as well, little genius, man, little prodigy, made it big so young. He's been growing up in the scene for the last 10 years, you know. Like, I told you I love making music, and if I get the opportunity to help somebody make music, working with DJs, helping them get into the studio, helping them get their ideas out of their heads and onto a record, it's another joy. It's a more humbling joy, just because I'm helping somebody that has no knowledge of it. Because that was the thing about music, and why I got into electronic music as well. It's like every musician who doesn't play drums, you want to play drums. And I was always bad at playing drums. And when I discovered drum machines, I was overjoyed, because I could make my own beats without a drummer. And you know, it's like having rhythmical ideas in your head and actually getting them out. And DJs have the same thing, you know, digesting so much music. I'm sure they just have ideas, melodies in their head, and they have no idea how to express it because they're not musically trained, they don't have any training in production. So if I can lend a hand at doing that, you know, it's further contribution to the music world. They might actually inspire change, and it's actually really good as well for me, because I get to view production in a different way. So after so many years of producing in a particular way, I'm set like that. And I bring someone else into a studio who just completely doesn't think like that. You know, it's complete anarchy, and it's great. You know, you break down your production methods and you learn new ones. And I get to adapt them and put them back into their productions as well.